It's small.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order for the Safer Board of Directors. Could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Here, if you could take roll call, please.
Beck? Here. Colvin is absent and excused. Langenham?
Here.
Maloney?
Here.
Opal?
Here. All accounted for. Let's see, B, correspondence comments from the public on issues or matters which the Safer Board of Directors has oversight over. Any public comments? Anybody online? No, my hands up. Any public comments? And number 3, any public comments? Hearing none, moving to C, consent items. Let's see, looking for approval of prior meeting minutes, May 12th, 2026. And if you want to put them together, approval of expenditures and receipts on May 26th also.
Separate. I have a question.
Okay, so we're gonna do 4, approval of prior meeting minutes, May 12th, 2026. Move
Move to approve.
to approve by Beck,
Second.
second by Opal. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? So carried. Number 5, approval of expenditures and receipts, May of 2026.
Okay, so, I'm sorry.
Let's just get a motion to get it on the floor first.
Okay,
So we're looking for a motion to get it on the floor.
I'll also move.
Okay, Beck for a motion, second,
I'll second again.
second by Opal. See, now we're on the floor. Any discussion? What is?
The only, well, I found one thing, Dirk's Group, it looks like they were on site. Do you know why they were, what?
Yeah, so Dirk was on site, because with the phone changeover. So we went, our contract for our phone system with, right, but we're not looking at the $300 bill for Dirk's Group. So I know part of that is the phone system that they had to be on site for. Marty's phone was down, they had to be on site, we had to run a line and they had to do some testing to get Marty's phone up and running. They were on site a little bit when we were doing the phone changeover, and what was the other thing? Is there another thing?
Were they
Were they on site for the printer? The main thing was getting Marty's phone line. They were here for a couple hours trying to
Oh, really?
troubleshoot why his phone wasn't working.
Did you get a new phone?
We changed our phone system. We went away from New Era and we went with Unitel. Unitel uses a completely different phone system. So instead of Cisco, we're using, I want to say
Sangoma.
Sangoma. So with the new phones, Dirk had to do some onboarding with our firewall and whatnot. I was unaware that Marty never had internet in his office when we moved him over to Station 2. He's been Wi-Fiing everything, and I had no idea. We had a line run. It turned out that the line that we had run was just bad, so I got up in the rafters and ran a new line. And now he has
ran
internet.
cable.
But
Was he running Wi-Fi on his expense?
no,
No.
he
Okay.
was.
So I mean, I
He
just
was-
want to make sure that
No,
he was incurring
tapping
the
into
cost.
our Wi-Fi
Okay,
to run it, but being on our Wi-Fi, like he couldn't use his phone because
Right.
the phone's internet driven. His printer, he could only Wi-Fi, which means he couldn't like email
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and there were printer problems. And I wasn't aware of that, so
So-
a lot of that on-site work was that.
Okay.
to her question that we're talking about the $1,900, right? Okay, and it's primarily labor.
Right,
We
yeah,
didn't actually
they
buy
charged $270, I think, labor.
On the 2 different issues.
Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to look at, if you want me to, I can bring up the itemized bill and I can send it over. Yeah, I don't have it. in front of
You
me.
can just send it.
But I can email it over.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it. I know it's a
Yeah.
lot to
Yeah,
have
but
them come
just
out,
to
but
understand it.
I just saw that. And then the only other question I had, share my bid, look at that. It's page 11, and I've seen this come up before. It says non-interface miscellaneous, enter description, and then it's got amount there, 3,700. What is it? The miscellaneous enter description? It's just like something's entered in there.
Oh, yeah, looks like you missed.
And it's shown up before, and I'm like, I figured it's some kind of typo thing in there, but it doesn't If somebody were to question, they would be like, what was $3,700 for?
So that was for the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. That is our 2025 dividend payment. And then because it goes into a miscellaneous, it comes up like that every time.
Okay.
That's a credit of 3,700 for your insurance. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think those are the only two that I had under that stuff. So.
You know that better now because you're on the board?
Well, it's the only thing I could think they would do with the league would be insurance, would be your insurance coverage.
That is what.
Okay.
We get a.
No, that's good. All right,
Plus, we got our dividend check too.
yeah. All right, any more on the discussions for expenditures and receipts? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. D, business items, discussion and possible action on contract with Rennis Health and Rehab Center. Got that.
Basically, this is a contract that we've been working on for quite a while. It went to our legal department. And when I say legal department, Shane. But basically, Rennie's is looking for somebody to occasionally come into their facility and start an IV on a patient that doesn't necessarily need to be transported. They have the appropriate staff there to manage the IV, but they do not have the appropriate staff to be able to initiate the IV. So the contract allows us to go there, start the IV, they will monitor it, and then we have a mechanism to bill them for that service.
So it's not a contract that is ongoing. This is a new contract?
Yeah.
So who's been
Correct.
doing the IV start before?
They had called us, I don't know, Callie, jump in here, maybe 2, 3, 4 times to do them. And then we were the guys started to question us about them. And then we went and talked with their management team and basically came together on this contract.
Yeah, so they would request us to come start maybe because their staff there had attempted and weren't able to. So a few times, that's maybe an unnecessary transport if we are able to start the IV. And so in the past, what we had done is if we were able to get the IV, we then contacted medical control, got permission to essentially leave with the IV and so that they could continue to carry out their orders. But that results in like a treat no transport bill for the patient for something the facility should be able to do. And I mean, if we had that call and then we had a cardiac arrest call, we can't divert that. So we wanted to work out a way that we could charge them for this service versus the patient. And at the same time, have a little bit of like a triage system
Right.
in order so that we could do that kind of between reasonable hours, reasonable times. Help them with that.
So they have staff sometimes, but not all the time.
No, it's more so that if they have like a nurse who has tried for an IV and is unable to get it,
Got it.
then they
Okay.
might say this patient has an order for IV antibiotics. Since I can't get it, they need to go into the hospital, but
Got
if we're able.
My question is, it just doesn't seem like a lot of money, to be honest.
It's when we add up the total of how much it costs for the equipment, that's kind of what we based it on, like how much an IV start kit counter is. How much it would send to just send one person in a SUV to go there. It should take us about 10 minutes to do.
For any fee that we charge, we have to show why we charge that fee. We could charge them $1,000, but if they would
Audit.
litigate that, if they would say, no, we're not paying you $1,000, we have to show why we're paying that, why we're asking for that fee.
Okay, and I guess just because I want you to value your service and $100, I'm like, by the time you get your equipment, go out, you guys are already busy enough as is it worth your time and how much money are you gonna get out of it?
Well,
Well, it's
I
also,
don't want to say it's not, but it's a service that we're providing to the public that's in our response area.
and it's
And we're
not
just
private.
making, and we're
Private,
just
you
making
can
sure that,
Charge whatever you want.
that our cost is.
How many
Some of
calls
this
do
is,
Sorry,
some of this
Dave.
is also to keep unnecessary ambulance calls down. Otherwise, the facility, because the facility has to pay this $100, not the patient. So otherwise, if we charge too much, the facility's just gonna say, fine, you can just come and pick them up and take them to the hospital then. And then we have to figure out a way to get them back to the facility. We might not get paid for those runs at all if the insurance says they weren't medically necessary.
Okay,
I would have to look up how many calls it is. It's less than 10 calls
It
a
was
year.
maybe.
okay.
It's
And they
less
kind
than
of go
10.
in.
Any other contracts like this? With any other facilities?
No.
Okay.
So basically you were already doing this to hopefully offset an ambulance and now you just kind of want something more official laid out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it ticked up. So I mean, we do this once, twice a year and we have for a really long time, but we had like a month where they called us 3 or 4 times. They had one patient who was on a antibiotic where they needed their IV changed out every 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
So they were calling us every 3 days to change out the IV without attempting because they already missed. So
Mhm.
we're working on getting this mechanism.
Okay.
You guys are busy enough. Does that offset your time at all? Or like, what happens if another call comes in? You
Well,
know, like, we
yeah,
just can't do it?
They can, it has no priority since it's not a 911 request. And it's something that if I'm on shift or anybody else is on shift, like, we could maybe do it without one from duty
Yeah,
staff.
I could go do it, Chief could do it, Kelly could do it. We have, we have a number of admin staff that for sure we could do it. I mean, we have a bunch of students now. We could have an intern go with somebody and they could get an IV as part of their student requirements. So that would be advantageous to us.
I don't expect that.
Yeah.
It
It's just not very.
And you know, like other facilities can be jumping in the
No.
channels and see this is going on.
No, I mean, Chief, if you have something else, but Rennie's is kind of that perfect storm where they have whatever, 100 residents, 200, whatever. They have a number of residents and they have like 2 nurses or 3 nurses on staff and their residents just outweigh their staff so much
Mhm.
that things like this come up.
It's also the fact that they're a rehab facility, so they're getting those people discharged who do have those orders where that's not happening.
Okay. Okay, and then Al, you and I'll have to sign this at the end of the meeting today. Sheriff's got some papers for us. Okay. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none. Well, we haven't done it, then we just did discussion. So we're gonna take action. So looking for a motion to agree with this contract with Furnace Health and Rehab Center.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Opal, second by Lanahan. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Okay.
So carried, 3-1. Let's see, discussion and possible action on future staff. Who's gonna do
All right,
this?
I was asked to, excuse me, put this on the agenda. I have a fairly long memo included in the packet on this with some background for especially the new board members to kind of get a feel for this. I know you've been pretty aware of everything that's gone on here over the past year, but kind of spells out what we've done, what we've tried, and what the options are for moving forward. So I'm not sure what kind of discussion the board wants to have around this, but I guess we can kind of go from there.
Thoughts?
I would just add in the, and trustee Beck had brought this up at the end of our last meeting. I had said the last time we had went through a process, we started with Safer, Safer board made a motion. We went to Rib Mountain. Rib Mountain was in agreement. We went to Weston and we did proceed with the referendum that wasn't successful. However, it was very helpful when we were having those conversations to say it's been a conversation at Safer and we're in agreement. It's been a conversation at Rib Mountain and we're in agreement. And because of the rules around referendum, if there is even a thought or a suggestion of that, we have to have that done in Weston in August, which we understand is before the budget and we understand is before we know some big things like health insurance or the union contract, but we still have to, that's the timeline or we miss that window. Doesn't mean you can't do it again next year, but that would be the window for this fall. So I think it's good that we're having this conversation now because we can do some planning.
The question I have is, next year staffing, the current staffing levels of 150,000. Increase, converting a part-time to full-time 210. Now, would you then have to replace the part-time also?
No, in the proposal that I had, I shouldn't say proposal, but in the option that I had in that memo was that was brought up to myself and Eric. because we do have a lot of part-time shifts that are left unfilled, was that it might at least help a little bit and not have such a big blow to the budget is to move that part-time position to full-time. It certainly doesn't expand our staffing, but it would maybe make staffing a little bit more continuous, I guess I would say. And no, the plan, to answer your question, Al, the plan would to not be to add that part-time position back. At that point, part-timers would be used only to backfill when full-time people are off.
Okay, so the staffing would be a little more dependable if that were to be moved to full-time.
Correct. I don't foresee, I don't know what Eric's thoughts are, or Callie or anything. I don't foresee it making it's not going to make a big operational difference for us at all. It would be a little bit more consistency, but it's not going to staff any more vehicles or anything like that. It was something that was brought up to me, so I thought it was worth putting it in there as an option. I also believe Gayleen has her hand up. I think she has a question.
Go ahead, Gary.
The only comment I was gonna make is, I know that Aaron Colden couldn't make the meeting tonight, and I didn't talk to him directly. I don't know, Al, if he reached out to you, or Mark, if he reached out to you. But I didn't know if that was something that this conversation, if there's any action, that would it be better to reserve that when the full board is there? It's just a comment that was made to me. I did not talk to Aaron directly, just for the record.
Aaron did make a mention to share, that he had some concerns on this agenda item. And he wanted to be here, but he couldn't be here because of work, different things, responsibilities. But so I guess I'm not feeling that we have to have a full board. I think a quorum is how this thing works. I understand Eric wants to talk about it, but I don't know what the four of us think we want to do tonight. Or is this discussion only tonight? And then we have Aaron here next month, and then we can move it a little further.
At the Villager of Mountain, my policy always had been, of course, we can vary from it. But any real big, substantial issue, I always wanted a full board, because then they can say, well, I wasn't, you can't say I wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. At least they get their kick at the cat, even if it fails, or proceeds. He could, depending on what this board wants to do, he could put his concerns in writing and submit them to us, or to the chair.
Well, if our last chance is August, I mean,
that was my next question. We'd have to have an answer in July.
And then if we wanted the full board here, what if one of the four of us couldn't make it?
Well, then we'd have to.
figure it out.
Then we'd have to,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. All right, I just want to clarify that a little bit.
No, I understand the time.
But I want to value his opinion too, or his discussion. Go ahead, anybody else?
I just wanted to add to Josh on the staffing, our staffing right now, we have 8 full-time per shift and that 1 part-time for the 9. And although the 9th one isn't filled much, we always allow 2 full-time to be off, which drops us below our minimum of 7. So without the full-timer, it drops us below our 7. We order in to backfill that. So again, I'm gonna echo what Josh said. By converting that part-time to full-time, it doesn't help with our core issue. It's the same staffing level we're at. It's just filling it more consistently, but it's not gonna help us with our ISO rating that we're getting phone calls every day about. It's not gonna help with staff at 3rd ambulance to help with concurrent calls and call times. It's not gonna help with any of that.
Yeah.
It's gonna add a little bit of consistency. We still have to allow 2 people off. We're still gonna have to backfill when we have those 2 people off.
So I have to ask, when is the drop dead date in August? Early August, late August?
It's later August. We would be able to go to our board meeting in August. I think it's like the day after our board meeting or 2 days after that.
So we can still grab a safer meeting in August and a board.
Yes.
Okay, so we got 2.
Okay, the other question I have is $150,000 for next year's, is that a
No, I believe, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that 150 is just status quo.
Just
Yes.
that?
And doesn't count
That's-
raises.
Oh, okay, all right.
So the 150 is keeping the same staff that we have. It includes a guesstimate. Again, we have to go through negotiations, so it includes a guesstimate on raises and a total guesstimate on health insurance increases. Obviously, I don't know those numbers yet, but I'm just, kind of putting a shot in the dark out there of about where they're going to come in.
Yeah, both of the communities struggle with that every year, so, okay.
But wouldn't that be at least a step is to convert some of the part-time staff or no?
It wouldn't, because it doesn't add staff. It convert, at this point, our needs are to add staffing, not to convert staff. Like we had issues 6, 7, 8 years ago when we were running 3 VCs. So we were running 1 VC at each station, and then we we're running 4 part-time people. And we had no full-time. And when the part-time weren't working, we had real issues just staffing the building. We have enough staff right now for the minimum staffing to make sure that we have 7 here. We have mechanisms with ordering people in and overtime to ensure we have those 7. But the 7 for a community our size is not providing the service that other communities have. It's just not. So I mean, that's the comfort of the board and the communities on what kind of service level they want. If we're comfortable sending an average of 5 people to a fire, and NFPA says we should have 15. And when we can't staff a 3rd ambulance, but we have 3 ambulance calls pretty regularly that we're calling for mutual aid and hoping that mutual aid is available. I mean, that's the other thing we don't talk about. Everybody says call Wasson Riverside. Well, Wasson Riverside are as busy as us. And there are days that they say, no, we can't come. And then you're waiting for an ambulance from Merrill or Stevens Point. So I don't, that's the core of the issue that we have. It's not, I mean, I think we have the mechanisms in place, but we have to add FTEs. That's what we need to.
So in all the discussions, I just feel like if we don't get 6, we don't want anything, nothing else is gonna work. There's gotta be a compromise in there.
Well, I don't think nothing else is gonna work. I mean, so
3 won't work or 2 won't work.
no, so our staff.
Let's just do this one more time. So the 3 is 1 person.
Right.
Just 1 person, that's all you're adding. So I know it looks like we're adding more, because I struggled with this too a couple of years ago, but 3 full-time is only 1 person more.
1 FTE.
And then we're talking 6, it's only 2. That's it. It's not, I know it's odd, but it's
Yeah.
because of the whole rotation of all the shifts. If you're adding 3 full-time people, you're not adding 3 full-time people all the time. You're getting 1 extra shift.
It's not like.
And that's why the 2 is the big deal.
Yeah, it's not like, so you go to work in a 40-hour work week and you have 10 employees in an office and you add 1, that's 1 extra person in the office for a 40-hour week. We have 3 shifts and they work 2 days on and 4 days off. So if you add 1, 2 days in a week will have an extra person, but the other 4 won't. You gotta add 2 and then 4 days in a week will be covered, but the other 2 won't. And then you gotta add that 3rd and then all your days are covered because of the way the shifts
Instead
are
of 1
laid.
shift, 1 shift. Yeah.
So to increase by 1 FTE, we have to add 3 full-time people. So those 3 full-time people, if we add just 3, we could maybe get our ISO rating down, maybe, but we still are gonna be at minimums a lot. By adding the 6, with the amount of people that we have to let off at once, that would be with not increasing, like right now we let 2 off per shift. If we had the 6, we would have to leave that at 2. We couldn't, I don't think we could increase it to 3 in order to guarantee, and I gotta look at it, I can't remember that specifically. But to guarantee that we're staffing those 3 ambulances and to guarantee that we can staff a water tender and get our water haul back and get our ISO rating down, we would need the 6. And we could maybe do the ISO and not the ambulance unless we were fully staffed, which is very rarely, with the 3. So it's just whatever, what the communities are.
Well, we also tried to identify years ago, what's the calls? Is it 1st, 2nd, or 3rd shift?
Correct.
Heart attacks come all the time,
Yeah.
and I mean, a
So-
fire or injury or crash, yeah.
No, and then that's a
Yeah.
good point, but so 2 people that staff an ambulance in the public's view, 2 people staff an ambulance during a busy time, that doesn't do anything for you.
No, because we can't staff it. People don't, we have been advertising for 12-hour shifts for how long, Josh? A year?
It's been over a year.
And we've had 0 people fill that shift. We've had 2 people kind of go through the pre-employment process and then follow. We cannot, people don't want to do that job.
Do they want to do like part-time? When you advertise part-time, what kind of applicants do you get?
We get tremendous applicants, but they want to work 24-hour shifts. I mean,
And that won't help for staff.
well, it would help if we added FTEs. So you would have to still, that's the $210,000 option. So that's adding part-time staff. That saves us on our
Health
benefits.
insurance.
Yeah, but then it still adds an FTE. That's still adding. So every day we have 9 slots that we can fill. Like right now, tomorrow, we're gonna interview 16 people for 4 part-time spots. But we need to add, so if we have 9 slots right now we can fill, we need to add that 10th slot. And that's 24/7, 365 days at a minimum of $23 an hour. And that's $210,000 to add that 1 slot every single day.
The problem, if I could just jump in with a couple things. The problem with the part-time people, and I know that sounds bad, I don't mean it that way, but they get to pick their schedule. So picture yourself as a part-time employee. Are you going to work Saturdays in the summer? Are you going to work any holidays? Are you going to want to work nights? So they just don't pick up those hours. So we tend to struggle during, summers are awful, especially summers on the weekend. They're part-time people rarely work weekends in the summer. And to go back to the compromise thing, I wouldn't say that there's not any compromise. My concern, the whole time when we've talked about the 3 versus the 6, is that if we do a referendum for 3, and let's say it passes, and then the next year we do another referendum because we still need those other 3, the community is going to be like, you just asked me for money last year and now you get your hand out again. That was my concern. And like Eric said, is that the 3 could potentially help us with our water haul credit. But it doesn't help us staff that 3rd ambulance. And in my mind, the 3rd ambulance is a bigger need, although I will say that it's getting more and more frequent now that we're getting phone calls. I just got a call from somebody that lives on Mallard Court in the village of Weston. Her insurance more than doubled. So she's paying about an extra, don't quote me, but I think her insurance went up like $1,300 a year. So it's having a real effect on some people in both communities.
On the insurance thing, the last couple of years, it has doubled.
It has.
I mean, mine doubled. And it wasn't because of a fire rating. It was, I mean, now roofs, if you have a roof that's over 10 years old, there's all kinds of things are happening. I mean, it completely doubled on me a year and a half ago. Just real quick on this part-time on weekends, do we have a shift differential?
That's what I wrote
Yeah.
down too, was
We do-
incentive.
We've tried all of those things. We've been down the road with all of those things over the past 10 years and none of it works.
How much have we tried? 5 months.
Okay, no, so over the course of the last 12 years since we've been in existence, I mean, there was a time we were paying people $7.25 an hour.
I know.
So we've offered $3, $4, $5, $6, $8, $10 differentials. We have had meetings in the past. This is 7, 8 years ago, this is years ago. And we asked the part-time staff at that time, how much money, what
To get you.
to get you to work 3rd shift? And they all said to us, no amount. I'm not coming in here because, so 10 years ago, you could work 3rd shift and you'd sleep through the night, or you'd sleep most of the night. They're not, neither of these stations sleep at all. And so now you've got part-timers coming in and they're working overnight from 11 to 8. And then they're up 2-3 times and then they gotta go to work,
And no
whatever their
benefits.
regular
And-
job
and
is.
no benefits.
So they won't do it. Especially, I mean, we have one part-time member right now who I can put on 3rd shift, and I just put him on 3rd shift, but he leaves at 6 a.m., which leaves a gap at 6 a.m. and we gotta lure people in to come in 2 hours early and it causes some issues. We were on a fire scene, what street was that fire scene, Josh, behind your shop?
That was the
Remember?
one on Carter.
So it was on Carter last month before, and that call came in at like 4 a.m. And it's like 5:15 and he's like, hey, Chief Lane, I have to leave. And we're in the middle of an active fire scene. And he's like, yeah, I gotta go. I got a job. And that's the issue we run into with part-time staff. Like, I can't tell him, no, you have to stay here. A full-timer I can, because that's understood about their job. Like, if Hanson decides he wants to be an RN and he wants to go work at the emergency department at Aspirus, he can do that, and that's fine. But if he gets a phone call and he's ordered in and he's got a shift at Aspirus, he's gonna have to call Aspirus and figure it out because he understands that this is a job and being ordered in is part of his job because he's full-time. I can't do that with a part-timer. They'll just be like, all right, I quit.
Mhm.
You know, there's nothing holding a part-timer here. Very difficult to staff part-time.
Just two more questions. I want to say just two, but there's always questions.
Mhm.
Chief, could you re-explain to me, and I know you talked about it, you explained, paramedic, their pay compared to what we have. You pay them differently per hour, so that would it help? Or maybe,
They get
Like-
10%
you mean-
increase.
Lisa, do you mean paramedic only? Like if they're not firefighters? Is that what you're referring to? So, yeah, so the difference there is firefighter paramedics are paid overtime based on a 28-day FSLA cycle. So basically any hour, if they go over 212 hours in that 28-day period, they get overtime. And their average work week is 56 hours. For a paramedic only position that doesn't have fire suppression activity attached to them, they get paid overtime after 40 hours a week. There was a neighboring department that got sued for that because they had paramedic only employees and they lost. So precedence has been set. They had to give them a pretty substantial amount of back pay.
and I guess my concern, Mark, and maybe you could do it, is fire fee wasn't popular and we went to referendum with 6, and neither of those are gonna go over well again with the public. How do we then say, nope, we want to go back with another 6? You guys already said no, but we're gonna do it again.
I agree with you. And just for the record, I don't know the answer to that one. I agree. That's a tough one.
No, I would push that if the very vocal naysayers would go for it. If the vocal naysayers that were pushing down on that referendum, if we could get several of those naysayers to go up with it, now realizing, okay, well, we do need this, that we might have a chance. But, I said, if we go to referendum and the residents say no, I will not push this through. That's my one vote out of 7. Because that's what you shot me down right there. Because I would have done the fire fee. No questions asked. I thought it made sense. Let's go. But if we go to referendum, now the fire fee for me is out because they spoke, and if we would have said yes to a referendum for a municipal building and the residents would have said no, I would have never pushed it again since the residents said that, but we didn't. So that's just, if you're asking me directly, that's just where I am on it. So if we gave the chance to residents to speak, and they did speak heavily, it was a heavy vote against. None, that's where it is. So fire fee, yeah, we gotta educate that this is needed. I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I want to ask Jessica a question, just ballpark numbers. How is it that we have a police force, municipal police force that gets what they want? I don't say what they want, but we definitely fund that thing needed. Yet I've been on this board. How long have I been on this board? I came in here absolutely shooting, screaming, hollering. You guys all wanted to kill me. And seriously, you did. But once you get in, you start realizing, okay, wait a minute. Okay, this is how this works. This is that, people change, people left. But I've been here now 8 years, I think, on this board probably. And it's mind-boggling to me that we don't have enough staff. And then the part-time is, sure, we have tons of part-time, but the part-time wants full-time. And the minute that opening is somewhere, they're gone. They're gone. That's what they want to do. That's what they want for their career, to be a career firefighter safety person. And with all the other stuff with it, that's a huge deal. And I've never had a problem with any of these people, any of these part-times that have left, because we've said it many, many times, we're just a training center. Yep, that's where we are until we're not. When we become not a training center and we start having more FT, full times, then it won't. But we're not there. We're not even close.
And I equate it like to nursing, that our firefighters put in as much, if not more training, initial training as nursing. Paramedic is an intensive 9-month degree. They have to have firefighter 1, firefighter 2. They gotta come in departments now with driver operator. And after all that training, people don't wanna work. You know, they do that to get a job. It's the same thing with nursing or any other service. You know, you don't go and get an associate degree in nursing to work part-time. Like I'm gonna work in a factory and be a nurse part-time after 2 years and doing rounds and.
This has become a very serious profession. You know, the mill in Rothschild used to get a call and they'd all leave, you know. And I had many employees come to the grocery store and say, hey, if I get a call, I'm leaving. No, you're not. This is your full-time job. We're not the mill. It's not happening. I need you here. And that's all shifted because we're all part-time. We staffed it, no problem. I got on a Friday night, there was 25 people not getting paid, hanging around the fire department in Weston. I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is crazy. But it's a profession and it's a cause and it's a calling to people and it's amazing. And now this is a hell of a dilemma, but it's not just our dilemma. The dilemma is everywhere. Correct?
It really is
It is,
different. I mean,
yeah.
20 years ago, when Josh and I started, I mean, this is gonna sound bad, but 20 years ago, there was a beer machine in the corner and guys would drink beers and play cards. Literally, when I started in Rib Mountain, there was a beer machine. And you'd throw your 50 cents or your dollar, you hit the button, your beer would kick out.
It's happening. It's happening 35 minutes
Guys
from here right now.
sitting at the table playing cribbage or sheephead or whatever, drinking beers, and the tones would drop, and I don't know how many beers they all had, but they took off. And now, back then, those were $200,000 trucks, now they're $1.5 million trucks they're driving, and we don't have beer in the stations. But it was a club back then, you know, it was like, just being in a club, and training was significantly less. They was using 80 or 100 hours of training, and there was zero fire training. You'd go to school for 100 hours or 120 hours and you were an EMT. Fire training was on the job. Come on in, we'll teach you how to be a firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's very different, and that's just 20 years ago.
So can I ask 2 questions? First of all, Mark, you asked a question of Jessica. I don't think we finished about the difference between the
Oh, no,
fire
I-
department and police
It
or
it
no?
really isn't gonna matter. I mean, what
Okay.
the numbers are, you know, but it just kind of amazes me, you know, that this struggle isn't happening on the police side, but it's happening on the fire side. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I doubt, I really seriously doubt if I'm gonna have an officer come to my house. But by God, if I have a heart attack, I'll crawl out to that curb, so they don't have to lift me from my bedroom. But I want that ambulance at my house, big time, and I'm not far from it, and I just hope to God we have an ambulance that, or my wife is gonna raise her ass to aspirus really fast, boy.
Yeah.
Hopefully with me in the car, so. But no, I mean, but I think about it all the time. When we get into these discussions, I always think about that, you know, I'm on that same board, you know, with, you know, Katrina, and it's different. It's just a different feeling. It's a different sense.
Is
And it's, I sometimes have a hard time even talking to staff, to the chief and the deputy chief, because I don't have an answer. And you know, something else.
do you
It really
think
is.
3? I know that's not what you want, but at least would that help somewhat?
Well, yeah, I mean,
It-
like,
Anything will help,
Yeah.
but 6 isn't the answer either. It isn't.
well,
You
no.
know, so if we do comparisons, we can all sit here, we can all smile and whatever. But when you do the comparisons to like communities, we don't suffer that on the Metro anymore for the police. We don't. We did with the MPD, but not with Metro. Metro's a different game. We were right in there, but fire, we've been down a fire for 25 years, at least that long. And it's like, it just goes right through. Nobody's gripping onto it. Nobody's hanging on to it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'll tell you, when at Weston used to be part-time, the calls I would get when I was a supervisor, my first stint, or even a trustee the second time, if the firefighters were outside grilling out or playing buckets, and the calls I'd get from residents, and I'd say, are you kidding me? My God, get over there and do that. Go ahead and do it. They're cooking their dinner, for Christ's sakes. We didn't have the kitchens and stuff in there. And yet I would get calls on it, you know. Yeah, it just blew me away that people were so concerned about that. I'm sorry, you were.
No,
I-
that's fine.
I will
Yeah.
say that the
Yeah.
six from a like community standpoint, Josh and I really looked at this when we were putting in for the Safer Grant, because at that time, it's how many you put in for, we get one shot at this grant. And the six, well, was 9 for when we did the Safer Grant, because we added 3 this year. The 9 was really minimal to get us to where we felt comfortable, where we're covering that ambulance and we can staff that tender. The probably closest community to us, because that 6 would get us to 11, 12 with the part-timer, okay? The most likely community next door to us here is Marshfield. Marshfield is at 12. They were at 11, and I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were at 11 and they got to the 12, but the 12 was underfunded, so they just ran a referendum that passed that got them to the 12. But they're asking to get to 14. And then that doesn't count admin staff. So they're asking to get to 14, and their admin staff don't respond. I mean, that's the other thing to consider, is that 5 firefighter average we have, Josh and I are included for that, because we respond to over 90% of the fires, which departments don't do. They don't, none other do. So
So does Marshfield account for those positions in their billet, like their fire department budget, or is that fire tech, like how are those
So
paid out?
they have,
They're a city department.
yeah, so they're a city
Right.
department, so it's, the city works a little bit different because we have 2 municipalities that are funding us. They also have an enterprise fund, so their EMS contracts go into an enterprise fund now, and that pays for a number of firefighters, but in my mind, that arbitrarily raises their taxes to pay for firefighters. We did a direct comparison with them when we were looking at staffing, and I forget what was their budget's over 6 million, I think. Their budget's 2 million more than ours, and I think that was the tax base. I don't think that included the enterprise fund, which is their EMS contracts. And you remember what else is in their EMS fund other than their EMS contracts, Josh?
Their EMS revenue goes into there also.
And that pays for a number of their.
I don't want to storytell too much here, but
Yeah.
like Merrill, how many full-time in Merrill?
I believe, don't quote me for sure, but I believe they have 7 on a day. I think they're at 7.
Even on a
Yeah,
day.
so that would put them at 21
Yep,
plus
yep.
the chiefs, so that put them at
I've
22.
worked up there for 20 years with the job I just had, and I got their calendar every year, and I was just shell shocked with what a gorgeous calendar it was with all the full-time. And that's 10 to 11,000 people in Merrill.
Yeah, their call volume is a little less than half of ours.
Less than half. And,
Yep.
we've got, and, Weston is what, 16,000? And Rib Mountain is what, 7,000? I meant Weston, I'm sorry, yeah.
75.
So we're in the 20s, yeah. Amazing.
So what do we do, Mark?
I would just mention Marshfield ran the referendum and it failed. Then they reran the
Yeah, they ran,
referendum
right.
and it
Yeah.
passed. Very similar.
It could be an education thing, that it just didn't drive it enough, but there was a lot of naysaying that really hurt. It really hurt. And the hurt was, we could have probably done the 3. And I blame myself for that, because I did not give a chance to Jessica and Jamie when they were talking and they wanted to have more discussion on the 3. And I think I was online. I think I had one of my surgeries, and I was just I'll say it, I was desperate to get that 6 on the table. And I did. I got the 6 on the table, and Luis actually followed up with a 2nd. I thought, holy crap, we got that on the table. Obviously not thinking that, I had a great opinion that it would get through, but it didn't. And I made a mistake, because we should have done at least the 3. And I didn't listen to staff, and
think
I
it
should,
would have passed.
it would have passed. It absolutely would have passed. I mean, even the biggest naysayer was saying that we should have done 3. So, but it was my mistake. It was very, very poor judgment on my part that I did not let staff talk. And I felt it. I felt the sense of urgency from both of these 2 here. And I thought, nope, I'll get this through. It doesn't work that way.
And I think part of the story you need to tell is more on the hours. I know I went to at least one of those sessions and I heard a lot about that you need more and why, and we explained it, but I don't think people understand the shifts.
Mhm.
The way you explained it to me, I don't think that people understand that concept, because as much as I was reading, I still had no.
And there's
So I
some that
think
don't
that's
wanna,
a part. that
some
needs
don't
to be
wanna
told.
understand. I mean, like the municipal center itself, some people will never latch onto that building. So, and that's just the way it is. But this is public safety. I mean, we did some great educational. I mean, I talked to the chief, I talked to Jamie. I mean, we had some great educational meetings and community involvement, maybe not huge numbers. I actually think we have more numbers on the bike path. And we do. We have 400 or 500 people involved, and I think the fire wasn't even close.
No,
And that's a real shame.
our
That's a
biggest,
real
our
shame.
biggest thing, we had 16 or
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I will say that the nights that we did the presentation, we did talk about our staffing. That was in the presentation. We did talk about how we staff the department.
I still get calls on
And-
equipment driving around or going
We can
somewhere.
absolutely do that, yeah.
And the people have, if they have to go get something, or hell, as I was in the grocery store, the truck would come and they'd come and shop. They have to do that because they can't come without the truck. If they get a call, they're done. I gotta put their groceries away, and they have to leave, and that's why they're in that vehicle to do that. And yet I still get calls on that. Why is the truck here? Why is the truck here? Oh,
I will say, I think one thing that really hurt us in the referendum was the social media presence.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
put out as much social media as we could on Facebook. That's really our only platform. But like the WASA referendum, and Josh and I pay attention to all of these referendums, the WASA referendum, Stevens Point referendum, and the Marshfield referendum, they all on social media and all the platforms, whatever, name your platform. There are people always against taxes and negative, absolutely, but all three of those community had people who were positive and said, yeah, but we need this and we need this. We had zero
we had zero.
positive feedback on our referendum. There was not one on all of the streams that I read next door and Facebook and all of the different.
Eric's not
news
counting
outlets.
staff. Eric's not counting firefighters and elected officials, because none of that counts, social media. If I would have been on there pushing my head off, I mean, I would have got hammered. I get hammered
Yeah,
now. I would get hammered by the 11 that are on me all the
I don't
time.
think they really want to hear from.
No, they
us.
don't want to hear from you.
If we do the self-survey, that'll make the situation worse, but I mean, that was part of our problems. We didn't have one person, I think maybe Cher's husband made a positive comment and they got hammered. You're just an employee, what do you know? Tim Stevie made a comment on Nextdoor and he's been retired for 4 years. And somebody made a comment, oh yeah, look at your profile, former Rib Mountain Safer firefighter. We know, who cares what, you don't even live in Weston, shut up.
Well, this is the only platform that people can attack or go on now, because you can't touch federal, you can't touch state. So the only place you can take this anxiety, this frustration out is local. And that's just where it's been in the last 10, 15 years, as far as, I just can't believe the turn and change. And you know what, I'm not gonna sit here and whine about it. It is what it is. So,
The only other thing I will mention that is semi-related, but is not sort of applicable to this situation, long-term. My understanding, Galen and I were both in a meeting this morning. The city of Wausau is exploring some options with their fire department and police department and what that might look like for the future. And they have some property that the city has invested in. And I think that also allows us a conversation to say, is there a larger metro conversation for all of us? Not just Safer, not just Riverside, but the city. That's not gonna happen now. That's not gonna maybe happen next year. But is there an opportunity? I know I had, in the last municipality meeting, they were talking about Milwaukee Metro Fire, which formed through the innovation grants and the support that they're getting from the state in order to do that. I don't know if that's even a possibility here, but it's
it's absolutely. about
It's a
40
conversation.
40 years ago, we had that
Yeah.
conversation, and I believe Al and Anita, we were at the Colby
But I
Center.
think they're gonna reopen them.
They're gonna open them, yeah, this
Yes,
fall.
because, there's a thought on Marathon County-wide. And then there's obviously the talks always with Wausau or even ours, South area, just bringing in Ross-Track. And I mean, that's the lowest hanging fruit right there. But 40 years ago, I sat at the Colby Center and I think Keith was there and I think Al might have been there as county board members. And we had all the communities here. We were talking about a marathon county-wide. I think we were talking
Yes.
police at the time. I can't remember. And oh my lord, did that,
Yeah.
we walked out of there and it was shut down before we got to the parking lot.
Keith would gather up here just a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. Keith would gather up a lot of the smaller communities and stuff and try to get some kind of, organization going amongst it. And then I brought it to Lance Leonard, and, we even had, what's the emergency government guy.
Rentmeister.
Rentmeister, he spoke. So there is kind of something going on. I don't know how the independent fire departments feel about it, but they were looking kind of at a countywide.
Well, we went, I mean, Josh and I,
Issue grant application to find out how much money would have been there.
I don't know who was all there, but Josh and I and several others were at Mosel. And I think you were there,
I was
Keith,
there.
and the entire department was there. And we were, gonna discuss, we thought we had a chance with the town of Mosel on getting together and forming together and along with Safer. And that department, I mean, my God, that was unbelievable. They had so much respect for Josh. It was, I couldn't believe it. They'd all come up to him, shake his hand, wanted to talk to him, wanted to introduce themselves to him. But on that, they wanted, no way did they want to be with another department. But where's our new ladder truck? Where was our new ambulance? I couldn't believe it, And I remember Jacobson at the time said, there's no way it's gonna work. But anyway, back on that thought on marathon or combining more. I don't think that talk should ever stop. I think public safety is the number one item that I think we have to talk about. How can we do it better? I mean, in my mind, I think, as often as I've never seen our vacuum truck on my road. Never. I've never seen it there ever. And I think, okay, if it's never there, then it's not being used all the time. Then a $500,000 or $600,000 piece of equipment should be merged with 3 other, municipalities, and we should all share that equipment, but we don't. We all have one. But public safety is the animal that we have to go with.
Yeah.
It's for everybody. It's for kids, it's the middle age, it's adults, it's the number one concern that we have to put more into.
But it
So
has
we
to
can
be
see
done-
this, go on.
Yeah.
It has to be done by the elected people. You
I
can't
don't know.
expect
I don't
Eric
know.
and Josh. to-
Well, it would for
It
sure
has
go
to be
through.
Good leaders.
It
of the
would
elected
go through if it went through the departments, hands down. They would get it done. I don't know if that can happen because they're not all linked together. And then on the elected side, you're gonna take a pounding. But if you can get the elected side to do it, yeah.
Still,
Mhm.
only way it'll ever survive or.
So
get out.
I think we beat this to death. We need to move
Yeah.
on. And I think good point in Aaron being in here too. He's probably got some valid points on this. But we've got to really watch this August deadline for what, if we're gonna make a decision.
Well, backtracking just a little bit.
Yeah,
What is the second Tuesday in July?
July 14th.
Well, I will not be.
oh, okay. Oh, I see, for this meeting, I see.
Yeah,
Well, then we should try to get, the second the meeting in July we should shift in so that we have the most hope for the 5 of us here, right?
Are you gonna be gone the full week?
The 14th through the 24th.
And the 14th is a Tuesday?
Early.
Yeah, 14th is Tuesday.
Is the 14th the second or the third
Yes.
on Monday?
When is
Oh.
our board meeting?
Thirds, it's on a
The
third.
20th.
So we could do it the 13th on Monday if we had to, or the Thursday before,
The ninth?
Night.
the 9th, we could, unless people are off for the whole week of 4th.
That would be
Thursday
hard.
before? No.
I just don't want to get too close to the 4th of July.
No.
So the 7th is on Tuesday. I mean, people, like we still grilling brats.
But
I just want to have the best chance of having the full
with
board.
your comment about, not, as long as you have a quorum, I can go along with that.
Mhm.
I could issue a statement if I
Yeah,
would
if
like.
we're gonna do the 14th, Al, and if you put some bullet points together, letting us know your concerns, some of your top items that obviously talk it, with Eileen and others, and if she, and if you're okay with that, and we can get the 14th done with the other 4 of us.
Would would the real meat of this be the 4 items listed at the end of the memo?
Are we talking about the
Memo from Josh?
Yeah, the 150 to
Yeah.
250 to 450.
Yeah.
Okay, I would think so.
Okay, all right.
Because you would need the vote by then,
I think those.
as far as what the fire
Yeah.
department, so we could go back to the board of trustees, so you could put a referendum if that was the case.
We had a 3 to 6 for a referendum, 300,000 and 600,000, right? What were the two numbers?
It was 300,000.
Yeah, I just help me out then, how we got 450 and 750. How come the 450 is at 9?
Because,
What?
because I think because Root Mountain pays
Yeah, I know, I get that.
30% of that.
Yeah.
So I think they had three, the 300,000 would be Weston and the 150,000 would be Root Mountain.
That's
Oh,
correct.
so you're saying it'd still be the same numbers, 3
Yeah.
6 for us,
Yeah.
but the 457. I just see 3 FTs and 6 FTs. Okay.
That's the total, not,
Yeah,
this-
that's-
not,
It is, that's my point.
yeah, but we only pay 60. We
I
pay,
get, no, I get that. If the total for 3 full-time more is 450,000, why wouldn't it be 9 for 6? How do you, where's that savings? Are we got a 40% off at Kohl's? I don't get it. And I don't want to sound like somebody that always talks like that, that was.
Well, I get what you're saying. If it's
Yeah.
450,000 for three people, why is it not 900,000
Yeah,
for six?
why?
so one, there would be probably some inflationary cost in that. 'Cause-
Yeah, but this isn't Weston, this isn't just Weston. This is. the
That's
entire
cool.
department.
Yep, and we did that piece on with the referendum question where we were gonna bring them in halfway through the
Mhm,
year.
yeah.
And so it was the same dollar amount if we did the halfway, and we did the math at that point in time on the halfway and the full year,
Mhm.
and the 67%. I promise you, it was $600,000.
Well, yeah, but the 6 and the 3 makes sense to me. It's this here, but not 450 and 7.
I think the 750 number is probably wrong. Actually, that shouldn't be.
Is that
Well-
750 bringing all six in mid-year?
No,
And the-
that brings in all 6 and then it adds the 150,000. It'd be 600,000. It's basically 100,000 per firefighter. So all I did there was $600,000 for the 6 new ones and then plus the 150 increase that I expect to begin with. That's where the 750 came from.
I thought this is a la carte. I thought these were all 4 separate, completely separate, so some are intertwined.
Yeah, he's just talking about next year's budget. So
Mhm.
3 firefighters on next year's budget are
450.
300,000, and then he's expecting 150,000 increase on top of that.
Okay, got it,
So that's where he's got the 450.
got it. All right.
Right.
So the 6 would be 600,000 plus the 150 he's anticipating
Got
on.
it. So
Oh,
the
okay.
210,000, the 210,000
Okay, I get it.
is, see, this is me not asking a question a half an hour ago, because I don't want to look like an idiot. But now we're all thinking the same thing. So now is the 210,000 standalone or not?
I believe the 210 is standalone.
Standalone, got it?
The 210 is for converting, correct, Eric?
Yeah, the
Standalone
210
is
is
not intertwined, so the 150 and the 450 are intertwined. So that gets us up to 600.
Let me just jump in on the 210 if I can, Mark. So the $210,000 is basically just adding, it's the $150,000 plus benefits for 3 employees. That comes up to the 210. And again, bear in mind, these numbers are pretty rough at this point.
Right.
Galen has your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gillian, go ahead.
All right, a couple things. One is not that I need to be present, but I'm out that week. So I think I would really encourage probably an email to, because I'm not a voter, but certainly an email to all the board members. I mean, obviously every group, everyone's here is present, but if Aaron happens to be out, I don't have Aaron's schedule, so I have no idea, to highly encourage them to have any input. Secondly, Mike, is this a referendum vote for the November election?
Yes,
Okay, and then when is that effective? Is that January 1st?
Yes, it would be effective January 1.
Okay, my
would still-
concern is, this is one thing that I'm gonna speak as an administrator for the Village of Red Mountain. So when we agreed and had that conversation at the Village of Red Mountain, I was told by the board that I had to do my part, and Josh will probably remember that conversation, who was in the room. And I think some of the Village of Weston officials were there too. But my job was to educate the public on the impact of an increase. My concern is a couple things. One is that's not fair for us in the Village of Red Mountain to do an educational outreach, to have that time to educate the public on at the referendum. That was part of the reason why when I didn't have anything right away, I got asked if Rib Mountain wanted to participate in a public meetings. And I'm like, well, for one, ours is more of a budgetary impact. Unlike Weston, we are not up against our levy limit. So, but it is a major, major impact on our budget. And I felt like for us, it was more beneficial to have those conversations closer to the budget. Because if we would have had it before, people would have, well, one, I didn't know if the referendum was going to pass. I honestly thought the referendum would have passed, but felt that if you put it and tied it closer to the budget time and B, when people get the property taxes, that it would be kind of joined together. By doing this now, that's really putting our budget at risk on the Village of Rib Mountain, because you're asking us to help fund for something that is supposed to be January 1st. Well, we're done with our budget by usually mid-October to end of October. So we're kind of hanging on a string on that one. So I guess if I just having a hard time is trying to be financially responsible for our community, is trying to throw that in the budget at the last minute. That's not fair to the Village of Rib Mountain to figure out like, oh, well, we're going to put this in the budget, but we don't know. I'm trying to wrap my arms around it. Maybe as a suggestion, is do we do this similar to what was discussed at the Village of Rib Mountain, was a July 1st, like introduction date of something like that. Then, you know, the village would have that time to maybe put it in our budget. And if it doesn't happen, if the referendum fails, then we have an opportunity to pull that money back. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
I get your point. It's legitimate,
Point.
very legitimate, yeah. I mean, it's.
Because I have to do my job to educate our public, because just like Weston, we get scrutinized as well about transparency. And I don't think that's fair to the Rib Mountain voters to be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to stick this at the end of the budget, or trying to educate. I'd rather have that opportunity, similar to what I had planned on doing, was having that opportunity to educate our residents, especially as we get closer to the end of the budget season, and knowing what I know. And again, Al's been through the budget. I've done 24 budgets for the Village of Rib Mountain, about to do 24 for the Village of Rib Mountain. And it's always really important to know what the tax impact is. Al knows that when we do budgets with the board in our workshops, that is one thing that we try to do right away, getting out of the gates, doing budget preparation.
So
Gail, would it be,
go ahead, Chief.
would it be possible? I mean, like the fire district, for most of the years that I've prepared the budget, we've had to prepare 2 or 3 budgets because for years we were in the middle of merger talks during budget season. Is it, I know it's not ideal, but is it possible that the village does 2 different budgets? It's really just the one line item, which would probably be approximately $90,000 for Rib Mountain for 3 people. Is it possible to do 2 and we educate the public on how the impact of the Weston referendum is going to affect their taxes and what the pros and cons are? Is that possible, do you think? I totally understand your situation, but I'm just trying to think of a way through it.
You would publish probably your higher number,
Right,
right? You
right.
don't have to adopt, but you have to publish 28 days in advance. So
Oh, yeah, we
you
have to.
publish it with,
Yeah.
if it was 90,000, you'd publish it with a higher number. By that time by the time you do the budget adoption, then you would amend at the adoption, yeah. at your-
Then you just adopt the lower one.
Okay.
What you
right.
publish does not have to equal what's adopted.
Yes.
Right.
It didn't for us, it didn't this year, because we took that extra for debt.
I still feel like that's not enough time for me to help educate the public on it, but I mean, I'll do whatever I'm directed to do. I'm just suggesting maybe as a step and this is something that the Safer Board can discuss certainly, is whether or not we'd maybe cut it in half and do a July 1st. Cause I mean, you're talking for us, that's 9 cents on our tax rate. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's just the fire alone, fire name as Safer. So, you know, that's a huge of that. Let me just do the quick calculation. So hang on 1 second. I should have done this.
We have to see how
I mean, that's that's almost it's close to 3.5% of our total tax rate on our budget. So that's like a typical, maybe just a regular increase. And that's fine. I get that, but I don't know. I just kind of figuring out how I got directed by our village board to do an educational thing with the public. And it's not giving me a lot of time to do that, but.
Good point. And we would definitely want your bullet points, for discussion in July, Aileen, if you're not gonna be here on the 14th. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I guess we could prepare 2 budgets. I just don't know how that's fair to the rest of the budget either. So, because the board's like, well, we may not be able to do this or not. So I don't know. Maybe I'm foretelling something that's not going to happen with our board. Maybe they would be fine with that, knowing that we're preparing a budget that's going to have a 9-cent increase. It may or may not happen on top of whatever regular rate increase we would have. And maybe they're good with that.
So we're moving this into July. Go ahead and get something.
No, I was just gonna
Okay.
say we're
We're
tabling this till July.
tabling it till July for sure. It'll probably end up being on August, well, it will be. You have a question?
No, I didn't. I was just thinking, okay.
All right, anything else from anybody else? So, do we need to make a motion to table or just move it to the next month?
Just as.
I would think we can just move it to
Yeah,
next
let's
month.
just move to the next one. Okay,
It's a memo, actually, and
yep, it is. All right, so 8, discussion and possible action on increase of fire contract fees.
I have a memo put together on that as well. It's pretty straightforward. We've done this in the past. We did not increase fees last year. The year before that, we did increase them. I believe it was 9% at that point. However, for several years prior to that, we did not increase them. So that was kind of a little bit of catch up. So I didn't want that to happen again. Obviously, we're seeing an increase in costs, so I think it's only fair that we pass that along to our contracted areas as well.
So the current rate, chief, for Marathon Stettin and the town of Weston, the 3312, 212, were those 3 numbers adopted? What year?
That would have been 2024.
Oh, okay, so we are only 1 year out. Okay.
Yes.
We missed the year and now we're proposing a 3. Okay.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Lanahan,
second.
second by Opal. Now on the discussion.
Now on discussion,
Okay.
I'm learning that.
Okay.
So how did that 3% come up? Why not 2? Why not 4? Why not 3.5? Just how did we come up with the 3%?
Basically, it just seemed to be a fair number one, and I kind of based it on what we've done for like what was in the union contract for wage increases this year, which was 3%. So I had something to tie it back to. Wages are obviously our biggest expense, so that's what I tied it back to. I'm happy to change that number, but I didn't have any other good rationale to tie it to anything.
And then my second question is, why do we do 3% straight across when Marathon is pretty far out? Wouldn't we kind of not do it uniform? Because you're doing more fuel going out
So
there,
all of our fires contracts are, formula, so that
Yeah.
they all pay the same. They're different rates because they're based on
Right.
population and assessed property value.
It's just assessed value for fire.
We readjusted these numbers, what, 6 years ago, 7, 8?
Yeah.
Because we pushed Marathon. Marathon was actually lower than the town. And we reversed that once we did an analysis on that. And full disclosure, Keith Lanahan is the chair of the Marathon board. So I know, but just.
Yeah, no.
And he is, what is, you're one of the founding members of SAFER. You came into SAFER immediately on the joint venture. And he gets to serve until he doesn't want to serve. Well,
that's for you.
I actually made the point when I was a real devil about 8 years ago on everything. I wanted to blow this board up. Anyway. But anyway, so I know, but yes, I know, and I don't think I need to apologize anymore. But anyways, so there's been some huge changes here, because once we did the analysis of that, we missed a year, but 3%.
And I think the present contracts say that they're allowed a COLA increase every year anyway.
Right,
So
right, yes.
it's only basically living up to the contract to take it.
Yeah, we should probably do it every year, moving forward.
So could we, if we didn't do it last year, can we go instead of 3%, go 4%?
We could. That right now, we've got on the table of a 3%. Chief, how would you feel on changing these numbers, or would you rather adjust next year?
I am totally fine with whatever the board wants to do. An extra 1% it's a very minimal impact. I mean, we're probably talking about a total of, I'm guessing $300 or $400. It's a pretty small amount of money, but I am totally fine with whatever the board chooses.
Has this been talked about with these other 3 communities?
Not yet. It says in our contract that we have to let them know prior to June 30th if we're going to have any change in price. So I just wanted to get that done, and then I'll send them, just like I did last time, I send them a letter, and then I always offer to go out and speak to them at one of their meetings. I think Eric actually went to Statine last time.
Yeah.
So we do inform them here.
I mean, I go to the Weston meeting every month, so I talk to them.
Josh gave the.
Right. Go ahead, Julie.
Mr. Chair, so my question is, if the referendum passes with additional staff, does that provide any kind of benefit to our contractual neighbors? I get it that we had that June 30th, so you might not be able to do that. Maybe my concern would be if we end up getting more costs associated with running safer with the additional officers, does it justify maybe reviewing it for the following year based on any additional costs? It's just something to think about.
Yeah, it definitely does benefit them. There's no question about that.
It would. Okay. So on your question on whether it's a 3 or 4, there's a motion on the floor right now at a 3. I don't want to ask everyone how they're going to vote, but I guess I'll ask the 2 that motioned it through. Would you consider moving it to 4?
Well, that would be an amendment and wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yes or no?
I would not favor it.
Okay, so we have a no there. So, with any more discussion? So we're gonna go for we're gonna see if this passes, and if it doesn't pass, we can discuss some more. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So we got a 3 to 1 nay. And, I stayed with the 3 on that because I'm just the chief proposed it, so I'm gonna stay with the chief.
But
No,
that's
it's
fair. I
fine.
was thinking
I
it could be
know.
another percent.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
it
only
could be.
reason why,
It
so
certainly
we
could.
gotta go with it. Okay.
All right, rock and roll. So, let's see, 8 done, 9, discussion and possible action on budget amendment.
Jessica, would you like to handle this one, or do you want me to?
I actually don't remember the amount that we talked about. Was it 40?
Take it easy, clear.
I don't remember the exact amount either. Cher, Eric, do you remember from our discussion on Thursday?
I thought it was the contract for the.
Yeah, I believe
Take care,
the
Keith.
budget amendment.
Oh, it was 40,000. That's what it was.
$40,000 revenue from the Cadot.
Music festivals, yep.
And that wasn't included as revenue in our budget, because we weren't sure on that contract when the budget was put together. But we did sign the contract, and that 40,000 revenue is in there, so that's what the budget amendment would do, is bring that 40,000 back into the revenue side.
And then the
the
offset
budget.
would be wages.
Yeah.
Right, so
That
that's,
side. So it'd be a net zero change in the full budget, but we'd be increasing expenditures and revenues by 40,000.
okay. Okay. No motion on the floor yet, right?
I just get that one more time. So we're increasing revenues by 40,000, but we're also adding expenditures for
Yes,
40,000.
the festivals were not budgeted for, so this budget amendment basically increases both the revenue and expenditures for the 40,000.
So it's bookkeeping more than anything else, I take.
It is.
Okay.
We keep a balanced budget, so
Yeah.
we're not just gonna increase.
Oh, okay.
Revenue
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Not
yeah.
that, right.
Yeah, it's gotta be equal. Okay.
We're looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Opal. Second.
I'll
by-
second.
Okay, second by
Second.
Beck. No, that's right. On the discussion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? So carried. End of month budget review.
There's
Anything
a
to be
copy
added?
in there. Everything looks pretty good. We do continue to trend a little bit over budget on Labor expenses, however, again, like I said at the last meeting, we continue to trend in the right direction, so hopefully that'll come down a little bit. But other than that, overall, the budget is pretty good. Fuel is going to be tight. Fuel costs have obviously been higher than we anticipated. But other than that, overall, the budget looks pretty solid. Revenue looks pretty good. Things are moving along pretty well.
I ask the same question every month, collections?
Collections are doing good. We have a meeting, should be this month actually, with our billing company, but collections have done pretty well this year.
Are we still working with both companies, or is that old one out now?
No, we're still working with both companies, and we probably will continue to get some money from them for probably another 18 months to 2 years, I would say.
Okay.
And we do continue to have some occasional issues. Myself and Cher worked with a patient last week that had some complaints with the old billing company, and we're going through some things with them to try to get his issue resolved here right now.
That was one of my questions written down. How are the new billing companies going?
Good. They're doing well. They're a small company, but their communications have been good. Their recovery rate has been good. They're doing a nice job.
It's the communication between the two billing companies that was horrible.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
weren't helping.
You got a sizable check, what, last month or the month before, because people paid the wrong billing company. So they paid EMSMC, and then EMSMC cut the check over to Dakota. I don't know how long they had that money for. I mean, that was kind of a bigger check, but
This Dakota recording that as revenue then, are we double
I'm not,
counting?
we'll ask them in 2 weeks, I assume, right, Chuck?
Yeah, we need to
So-
make sure that, because I record when that money goes into our bank account. But then I only record the money that goes in the bank from Dakota, so it shouldn't be double counted.
No, I don't believe it is. I think we asked that question last time I met with them.
So you're saying you would be recording this separately from EMS?
I record because we get EMS, and we get a deposit, say $20,000, and then
Right.
it looks through the bank account and see what we got from Dakota.
Okay. And EMS is paying Dakota, or are they paying us?
No, it's,
They pay us direct.
yeah, this particular check was, the way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but patients paid the wrong billing
Right,
company.
right.
So the money went to EMSMC, and then, so EMSMC cut the check to Dakota, correct?
No, the check came from EMSMC direct to us.
So really, the question is how long Dakota was holding it, how long was EMS
Right.
holding it? How were they just, building for what, a year, 6 months? Yeah, okay.
No, we get several payments, like we got
Yeah.
$80,000 in January from ESM.
Okay,
ESN.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any more discussion on that?
No, but I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really applies here. What is operating supplies line operator?
That is
Which-
it's kind of I'm gonna call it a catch-all, but basically what it pays for is fire equipment throughout the year. If we need a saw, or we need to buy hose, if we need to buy things for around the station, like let's say a washing machine breaks and we need to replace a washing machine, or if I'm trying to think of what else.
All of our rope expired this year.
Yeah,
So we had-
that was a big one that went through there. Yeah, look at some rescue equipment, ropes and harnesses and water rescue stuff. Basically, all of the things that are in the compartments of the trucks get purchased out of that line.
I think we had to buy 1,200 feet of rope or something like that. It might be more than that.
I never asked this question, but do all purchases are seen by you two?
I stamp all of the bills and code them, and then Cher pays the bills.
Okay, so every single purchase is done that way. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say I probably see 80% of them, but Josh and Cher see 100% of
Okay.
them.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? All right, review, any attorney referrals? I suspect none. Staff reports, report from fire chief?
I don't have a whole lot. Thanks for letting me join remotely here tonight. I don't think I have a lot to add. I think we kind of covered everything that we discussed already. I know Eric's got some calls he's going to go through. Callie, I think, will give a recap on what Force Fields, the first music festival we had out of Cadott this year, went like. It sounded like it was a little bit chaotic and busy, but she can get into that a little bit more. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Oh, Josh, Josh, I sent you an email. I was seeing if you were gonna make the announcement.
I saw that come through on my phone, but I didn't look at it yet.
Okay. We got a grant. I helped Josh with the grant for Sam's Club, so I got the email in the middle of the meeting. So
Oh,
I forgot
excellent.
what we applied for, Josh.
That was for water rescue stuff.
Ah, yes. Not very much though. It looks like they only gave us 1,000, so
That's
hopefully
okay.
you
It's
can buy
better
something.
than nothing.
Let the board go there, and it's kind of neat to see if they'll, if they put that on the board for us, so. Yeah, everything helps. Good. All right, so thank you for that, Galen. Nothing else, chief? You gonna get better?
Yep, hopefully I'm heading in the right direction here.
All
It was a long weekend.
All right, Eric?
My report is in the packet.
Mhm.
Again, I've got the activities report there that was reviewed last month. Ty's Voca Band will be starting next week, Monday. Right now, we're one short. We've been one short since March because Battalion Chief Myers resigned and went over to Stevens Point through promotions and processes. We remain one short. So Ty's will start next week. And that'll bring us up to full staffing. He trains, so he has 2 weeks of training. He's in paramedic school as well, so he's at school on Fridays, so he's gonna be doing 10-hour days. So he won't officially be on shift as part of the crew until the middle of July. It's a 4-week training period, so middle of July. He'll be on shift.
It's a terrific name.
Yeah.
It's a what?
Terrific name.
Yeah.
Ty's Vocal Band.
Mhm.
Um,
I thought we were having a band come in.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, this is the first time I've ever heard about this, so I'll have to bring some guacamole or something. All right.
As previously mentioned, our recruitment for part-time went really well. We had 26 applicants, and actually, I think we're interviewing 16. We added another one. We already made one offer. It was an individual who applied for the battalion chief job and then applied for a captain spot for both of those spots. He interviewed very well. He came in second on both of those processes. The first process, he came in second we give points during the assessment center for different things that they have to do, written test, oral interview, et cetera. So the first one, he was behind by like 1.5 points from Captain Novak, who was promoted to battalion chief. And then the second time, he was behind by like 0.4 points. And Jake Kolb, one of our engineers, got promoted. So Kyle Frederickson, he's a full-time captain over at Chippewa Fire District. He's gonna be working with us part-time. So we made that, we're not bringing him in for another interview. We just made that offer.
Right.
And we're hoping he'll start next week with ties. And we can get him trained quicker and get him on duty. The 16 that we interview tomorrow, they won't be on the schedule till September. They won't start their training till maybe mid-July, maybe. It just takes a month to interview and get through pre-employment at least.
Okay.
EMS calls there. The really nice thing on that report is we had 26 interfacility transports, which 4 months ago we were doing 8. That's up because we have one person. It was like when Tim Stevie was here, we had one person who was really hitting them a lot. He's coming in for a ton and he's taking 90% of them probably. He was out at Forest Fields, which Callie will talk about. He was out there the entire week and he's been a great resource for us as of late. I don't know how long that's gonna last. That's the only problem.
It's a revenue though.
Yep. Fire response is there. You can see we were very busy. I list structure fires and vehicle fires. And if you look at that list, you'll see City Wausau Autowade, City Wausau Autowade, City Wausau.
Yeah, it's just starting to circle, yeah.
We entered that Autowade agreement with the City of Wausau in order to increase our fire response. We send them an ambulance with 2 people. They send us a truck company with 4 people. So it's not exactly apples to apples, but we do the one fire on there that was on. There was one significant structure fire that was in there. It says auto aid and mutual aid. So on May 2nd on Grand Ave. So we have an agreement with Wausau also. We send them the ambulance auto aid, but if they call for mutual aid box alarm, we'll send them another truck because we're one of the only other staff departments. So we actually had an ambulance with 2 people. We had a truck company with 2 people and myself, and we were there for about 6 or 7 hours. That was a 4-story building with about 200 residents. They had a fire at one of the apartment complexes.
Wow.
So that was a big fire. Our fires, we had a structure fire in Stettin. That was a shed. That was pretty minor. We had another one. No, that was the only ones that should have thought again, another one.
Maybe.
May 8th on Jelnik, yeah, that was in a fire in one of the duplexes on Jelnik there, right before Alderson. That was a significant fire. We got pretty lucky on that one. We had decreased staffing that day. I was one of the first people there that came in at 6 o'clock. And where the fire happened, there was the duplexes are joined in the attic space. And the fire happened in like the utility room. And there was like a hole in the ceiling that went straight up in the attic. So I don't know how the whole building then burned down. I mean, the crews did an awesome job, and that particular crew was an intern and one of our brand new firefighters that we hired in January.
Excellent.
And they went in and knocked the fire down, did an outstanding job. Training hours and training is there. Of note, we burned one of the houses down out by State Park Speedway. Burned that down on May 8th also after that structure fire in the morning. There's a second house on the property there that we can't get to because of how busy we are right now, but the Kassir Foundation, they're gonna wait. We'll probably burn that second house in September. EMS training, the one number that's not in there on EMS training is the paramedic cohort, which would significantly increase that number. Other than that, fire prevention activities, grants, the Walmart grant through Sam's Club that was just talked about. We got 1,000 of the 5,000 we asked for. The AFG grant we're working on right now to purchase 50 sets of turnout gear, so everybody has 2 sets to meet NFPA 1500. We got the rejection letter for the SAFER grant we put in for on Friday. And that grant we wrote 18 months ago, and yeah, but we got the rejection letter on Friday. Other than that, the reports are there, and the last part, I just want to turn it over to Callie to talk about Forest Fields.
So Forest Fields is the electronic dance music festival that occurs out at Cadott, so part of Chippewa Valley Music Festivals. We've been working, it was previously Country Fest, now it's Hoof Beats and Rock Fest. How many years? 2017 is the first year I remember.
This is our 6th year.
No,
Because we signed a 5-year contract, and this year was a 1-year contract, so it should be our 6th.
No, we had a contract before that too, though.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we had a 3-year and then a 5-year and then a 1-year. So I think this might be our 9th year.
I was gonna say, I knew it was close to 10 years. So last year was the first year that they included this Forest Fields Festival. Last year was much smaller. It's a shorter event. And so it really wasn't a big deal to add on. They increased substantially with their size. I was told that it was the largest event in attendance since like Rock Fest of 2023, and that was their highest. So I don't think there was more than a handful of people that we saw that were from in the state. We had people from Omaha, Oklahoma, Colorado, being transported. It was incredibly busy. It was I've been working these festivals for us since 2017, and it's the busiest festival we've had. Typically we'll transport 3 to 4 people. We are the only ELS service, bring tens of thousands of people who are there camping as well as in the event. Mosinee Fire District does supply a BLS ambulance, and then during kind of peak hours, it varies, but this year it was Boyd, kind of municipality ambulance that supports it. There's a medical tent though, due to recent changes. They are just functioning as a basic first aid. They used to service more like a mini urgent care in some ways, but that went away 2 years ago when the hospital in Chippewa Falls closed. So it results in more transports, and like I said, about 3 to 4 transports typically are what we did per year. We had 12 patient contacts resulting in reports, and that's not helping us just counting us just helping out at the medical time. So it was very intense. I do not expect that Hoof Beats and Rock Fest will be that way, but I do anticipate if we are asked again to do Forest Fields next year, we might need to negotiate that a little bit.
Why are they being transported? Like, what is happening to them?
Drugs.
There's a lot of drugs.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's overdoses, it's concurrent. We learned that there are bins out there that say take one, leave one, and it's you leave a substance, you take a substance, and so people weren't knowing what they were taking. We did end up needing to intubate a patient who was seizing. And the hard thing is our transports, given that the Chippewa Falls Hospital, excuse me, St. Joe's, closed. If we have anybody who's critical, we're going all the way to Eau Claire to Mayo.
I was gonna say, where
Yeah,
are you going?
that's
Yeah.
your
And
only
then-
option.
Then from there, we divvy up the lesser acuity or lower acuity transports between Aspira Stanley, Marshall Medical Center in Eau Claire, and Mayo and Bloomer. So we try to divvy those up so no one is inundated, but we did transport 3 of our patients to Eau Claire, which we only are transporting people there who we know are probably gonna require ICU level care, so.
We need use the, what is it, Narcopen or what do they call it?
Narcan unfortunately doesn't treat anything that they're using.
It only works for one drug.
Well, yeah, and we don't know what they're taking.
They're,
You know, if it's leave one, take one.
I
What
will,
the
so
hell?
it sounds really good.
You know-
but in actuality, it
You know,
doesn't treat.
you
what
put a
it-
labeled beer in an ice chest and take a labeled beer back out, you at least know what you're drinking. Wow,
I will say.
that's messed up. That is messed up.
Law enforcement try Narcan on everybody.
Yeah.
They have that, they'll try it, but it did not.
The treat festivals are very different demographics. So Force Fields is the club kid demographic. You know, they're the early
Force
ones.
Fields.
It's called Force Fields. It's a DJ techno. There's no performers. The performer is the DJ. So it's club kids. It's the being stereotypical. It's a lot of drugs type of event. Hoofbeat is country. So you're gonna get your mid-20s to early 40s that are gonna have a couple of beers and just hang out.
No, I would say with Country Fest, it's always been young and tough.
I
That,
would
that's
say honestly, so much and dehydrated.
Andy,
that-
yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting is Force Fields, there was almost no altercations. And it was at Hoofbeat, we always have people fighting each other.
Mhm.
And Rock Fest is,
Oh, Rock Festival, older.
is the more seasoned crowd that I feel like knows how to handle. It's different. It was rough. As I mentioned, one of our part-time staff, or I should say IFT staff, was out there the whole time. I was out there the whole time until 11:30 PM on Saturday because I worked at the hospital on Sunday and I needed to get. So we opened the opportunity up for our paramedic students to come out there and get clinical contacts at both the med tent and with us transporting. At most, we had, 1 to 2 students out there at a time. If they hadn't been out there, it would have been really rough for a 2-person crew to do everything that we had to do. But it was, I think they luckily had a great time and they got great clinical experience. So it was worth it in that sense, but I'm still working through some of the people working in the
Wow.
So with that, if
Thank you.
anybody has any questions on
Okay.
my report or Kelly's, I entertain them.
So I don't want to elongate the meeting, but okay, the leave one, take one, is it open? I mean, it's right there in
Well,
front of you?
When we were
Yeah.
driving through the UTD or
Mhm.
with the UTD through the campgrounds, we saw them. It's a big thing to give out trinkets or they call it candy. So like we were having like little clips with fake flower stems put on our hats and like bracelets and stuff. And everybody's very nice.
Mhm.
But I guess in there is also that. So
Wow.
So
And-
it's not labeled,
Yeah,
leave
yeah,
one, take
no,
one
no.
pill.
Yeah.
It's like, leave this
Yeah.
little pretty trinket, but maybe at the bottom is a one of pills, you pick one up.
And again, not to just tell stories, but they had a silent rave at one of these campsites. So it's everybody listening to music and dancing and there's no outward noise. But it unfortunately was on a path that we had to take to get to a patient. So we had to come up behind and nobody knew we were there. Nobody could hear us or they didn't see us. We don't have like a department issued vehicle that we take out there for that. So we honestly had to go around because there were all these people just dancing in the middle of the
Quiet.
pathway. Yes, very quietly. But
I wouldn't know what the hell, I wouldn't know what to
I'm
think.
sure it looks very
it
interesting.
was.
And nobody's like yelling and screaming and, nope, it's just quiet.
I had that once at a zoo. You could pick. You was red, blue, or green. If everybody had headphones, and then you would only knew who was having the same experience as you by the color of their headphones.
Mhm.
It is a little surreal. It's it's weird, but it's dead set.
Interesting. Well, there you go. 7:10. Yeah,
That would be an experience.
I'll be,
Mark.
I'll look like, they'll probably kick me out the minute I walk in. I won't be dressed, correctly. Any remarks? Al, anything?
No, nothing.
Okay, Lisa?
No, other than I think that's an excellent discussion. It's the only way you get people informed, is to
Yeah.
have those
Yep.
during you, so thank you.
And I agree. I thought tonight was especially on the staffing, we got our work cut out for us here and we just gotta put our heads to the ground and think how to handle it and different things. There's some great points brought up by both administrators and both municipalities, and we'll see where this takes us. With that being said, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Beck,
Second.
second by Opal. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So
Aye.
carried.
I would assume the next meeting date is,
Well, did we wanna move it to the Monday, so?
don't move it because of me,
No, I would like.
because it might affect somebody
I'm
else.
available.
I think that the options were the 9th, the 13th, and the 14th.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and all three of those days.
Can you put a doodle poll out? Maybe?
The 9th would not work for me, but the
Either?
13th would.
It would? Okay.
Okay.
So the
Um,
13th, we have Public Works and
Public Works and the
Plan.
planning commission.
So
At what
And
time?
I typically go to those.
Yeah, those are,
So
4:30.
I don't have to go. I
4:30 to
always
8.
do, because I try to go to all the meetings if I can.
Not meeting itself.
I go to
No,
all
but-
the meetings.
But she's
That's
the
just me.
starting.
That's
So
just me.
yeah.
That's just a way I get better information.
We did have the one meeting that one time before Public Works.
And I have
that
no
we did
problem.
At the conference room in Weston. I mean, if we could do an earlier meeting, if we wanted everybody on the board to be there, I think that would be. Josh and I are always 100% open, whatever.
Let's just see what, Keith can do and 13th and then Aaron, I mean,
And Aaron.
go from there. Yeah.
So Public Works starts at 4:30, so we'd like 3:30.
Maybe at 3:30. Yeah.
This plan follows at 6, and we don't want to go after plan.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, 3 to 3:30 would be best. Okay? Rock and roll.
Either one.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's see if we can get through this traffic. Yeah, I gotta go to Chick-fil-A, guess the calendar.
You hit on me on the air.
Sure. I'll through the window. I'll tell you, if you like avocado dressing, I think it's got a little ranch or something in there. But
It
it's
reminds me
green
of like a
dressing.
green goddess.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing,
green.
same
Oh,
kind
it's
of thing.
so good. You ever had the top salad at Chick-fil-A? And it's got those